Good morning, everybody. I can't believe that you guys all woke up and are here right in the morning to listen to a session which just says, client is not a moron, she's your customer. I don't know what you expect out of this talk, but I hope the time that you spend here will be a little useful. Maybe it will help you win the next year's Lotus. Well, that's just advertising, and don't believe what I just said. So my name is Emmanuel. I come from India, and the name of the agency that I represent is ITSA. And it took almost 20 years plus to reach that stage. This looks like a very big stage, and I'm privileged to be standing in front of you and talk. And I came a few years ago, I don't remember, 6, 7 years ago, and I judged radio along with David Guerrero, and it was a privilege to be with him in that room judging. And today, as I spent a few minutes here on the stage, I have a story to tell you, my journey in the industry, and I have many things to confess. And when I put up this picture, a lot of people asked, what does this mean? And as you can see, it actually means that I have many things to confess in the time that I spent in the industry. And from those confessions, the mistakes that I made, the way I see it now in hindsight, I have realized certain things, and then I have rejigged the way I look at things, the way I look at the industry, the way I look at my clients and my customers and the work that I do. And the journey from then on is what I like to share in the second half of my talk here. So as I said, somebody looked at me and said, are you from Sri Lanka? I think most Asians look similar as the way we look at mostly Southeast Asians. They look this similarly. So I'm from India, and I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Mahatma Gandhi. He's featured in many, many Cannes lines and award shows. And he's a disruptive, creative person who's worked on many campaigns, and he's won the biggest award for India, the independence from the British, and maybe it can be called the Independence Lotus Awards. And he's won so many awards that if Kim Shaw were to do the ranking, he would probably be the top #1 creative director, along with Eugene Chong and the other people that you see here. He's done many campaigns to win the independence for India. There's something called Salt Satyagraha. He took salt from a beach in a coastal area and then rebelled against the Britishers. And he did a series of campaigns like that, and finally the Britishers left. And I think all these activations that he done could have been entered in on-ground activation, in outdoor, ambient, guerrilla campaigns. And there was a symbol that he used. It's called Chakra in India. And I believe it could have been entered, or maybe it could have won a designed lotus in product category. And he did many other things. And in the area of non-violence and peace, one thing he had not won was, ironically, the Nobel Peace Prize. But very few people know, I also didn't know, that he spoke on an area of our business, which is our customer. And this is what he had to say. I'll read this for you. A customer is the most important visitor on a premises. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not an interruption of our work. He is the purpose of it. He is not an outsider of our business. He is part of it. We're not doing him a favor by serving him. He is doing us a favor by giving us the opportunity to do so. There's a lot of words, but I put it up because I felt it is important, every sentence in that quote. But our industry simplifies things and makes it very simple. So therefore, we would have just said this, that the customer is king. So what Gandhi said in so many words, we would have just said the customer is king. So we tell our clients, we tell our people that the customer is king, that whatever we do should be done to maximize the experience that the customer is going to interact with your product, with your service. And we tell our clients that user interface is important. Research may or may not be important, depending upon which side of the fence you sit on research. So we say customer is king in a very simple fashion. But when I began the journey in the industry, I didn't hear that properly, and I didn't realize who my real customer was. Who am I talking to? Because I was mostly talking to the award jury. You know, the award jury was my king. I was focused on the awards, and therefore my target audience was what kind of award juries are in Cannes, in D&AD, in London International, and even in AdFest. And I was trying to read up that each show has gone a certain kind of a taste. Like a D&AD would be more a design-led thing, and then Cannes would be maybe a simple and big ideas. And one show, I was dreaming of one show from my beginning in the career. So even before I started winning awards, I knew which category to enter in the local shows. In India, there was a category called Best Use of Small Space. You know, small ads you can do to enter. So I used to just go through award annuals and then read up on juries and then what won in which category and all. I used to enter for my bosses and their work, and then they used to let me enter a piece of my work almost as a reward for filling up the forms and putting up all the work together. And it was also the time when I was getting involved in the industry, and mostly from very focused to win awards. And once in a while, I used to do ads for my clients also, just to pay, return the favor for giving me some little money. And then I used to go to my bosses and then say, oh, my client loved this ad. But then it was always looked upon, you know, if the client were to like an ad, it was almost like a bad thing. Then a client liked the ad, it has to be a bad thing. And it is not a great ad if the client had liked it. So I understood, I felt, I started thinking that, you know, there is an audience which is the clients, which you need to please, which you just need to do the job and get out of it. And then there's a job that we do for awards where we kill ourselves, put our blood in it and sweat in it, and then do the best to win it. So therefore, that sort of made me into kind of an arrogant, rebellious, stubborn, creative person. I don't know how many of you are from the creative departments and then how many of you behave like that. But I was like that. I used to make my servicing people cry, and there was a servicing person who claimed that he lost his job because I was not giving the kind of work that his clients were asking him. And then my bosses had a tough job. They used to be confused because I was like the bright guy or potentially an award winner, but these complaints used to come from my servicing and from my clients, and then they didn't know how to deal with me. But then slowly, with all this passion for awards and to win awards, to win one show, and all those dreams finally started showing results when I finally did some work with my partner Prasad. And this was a laxative campaign. As you can see, it is before 87 kg, and after it is 86.4 kg. How light do you feel today after a good morning visit to the restroom? So I don't know if you know that the lightest you feel is when you go to the restroom and come out. So this is a series of posters we did, and these are people from our office. We identified them, and then we bought the clothes. And this is a lady, she's from the admin. We even went and bought a sari for her. And I've never bought from my mother or from my wife, but then for this campaign, we went and shopped for a sari which was sort of went with the design. So we did this. And it won in one show and in other places. And so this is another piece of work. The next piece of work is a film that I did with, there's a gentleman here called, I'm sure you all know, Santosh Paddy. And I used to work with him in Leo Burnett. And together we did this work, which won at Cannes.
अरे यार, ये लाइट को भी अभी लाइटर कहाँ है? कौन? जरा सुनिए, आपके पास कोई लाइटर, टॉर्च या?
नहीं, लेकिन आपको नीचे आना है।
हाँ,
आइए मेरे साथ चलिए। सर संभाल के।
थैंक्स भाई साहब। वैसे यहाँ पर लाइट हमेशा जाती है क्या?
आइए, बस पहुंच गए।
रोशनी, 1 मिनट के लिए भी अंधेरा हो जाता है ना तो थैंक यू।
नहीं नहीं ठीक है, टेक केयर। हाँ
So that won at a couple of places, and I think, if I'm not wrong, it won in copywriting craft in AdFest also. So this was another poster. I don't think you can read it. This is actually a poster for a theater that my friend had opened at his own house for watching movies. And this is a poster for Birds, the Alfred Hitchcock movie. And the stuff that you see on the wires are just text, which is giving details of the movie. It looks supposed to look like birds. And it won a D&AD and Cannes and a few other places. And the next one is a film for Sony Handycam.
Hello?
So there's one a line at Cannes and other places, and I came on TV, there was interviews, and there were a big debate among senior people in the industry on TV and saying, what is the meaning of this ad? Nobody understands, and everyone is trying to explain it to each other. But I had fun that even nobody got it, but I got a line. And because of all these pieces of work over a couple of years, and Kim Shaw, I don't know if he's here, yesterday I met him at the party, and I was ranked as India's #1 creative person that year. And finally, my dream of winning awards was being met. And then suddenly, people who were calling me like potentially an award winner, finally, I became an award winner, and then people used to call me and congratulate me. But those who could not win, and maybe other people who didn't like me, they started by saying, no, this guy can do only awards. So it was like a revenge on people who don't win awards, calling other people you can do only awards. That hurt. And so then I thought that if creativity can win you awards, if creativity can make you feel good and solve problems of winning awards and all, can I take up the challenge and do more with the power of creativity? And can creativity be put to solve anything? And that was the time that I started thinking that how can you use creativity, which is more than just winning awards? Can actually creativity solve client briefs? Isn't that actually why we are here? Isn't that actually why we are in the industry? So therefore, so I've sort of refocused my thinking, my point of view on the career, on the industry. And today, as I stand before you, I'm born again creative in every sense. And I took up a challenge to after the series of awards, and I was in Saatchi when I won those awards, and I quit because we had some differences of opinion with some people, and I took up a job which had a very tough brand. I will not name the brand or the client right now, but it was the toughest brand to work on. It was very demanding, and it used to have so many mnemonics, so many tough things to say for a particular brief. But then I took it as a challenge, and then I said, me and my partner, we will work on this and then figure out how we can deal with it. So a lot of people came up to us and said, we want to work with you in the new agency that we worked on. And then I said, why do you want to work with us? So they said, we want to see you change this brand. I said, no, I don't want to change any brand. I want to change myself from doing work which would just please me and the award juries, and I want to do now work which roll up my sleeves, get my hands dirty, and then do the work that really the clients require. So that was some kind of a big a movement in my career. And then I started then doing some work which people finally could see. Because all the work, almost I spent 10 years of my life which nobody could see. Only the obscure newspapers could see, and only the award juries and annual books, award books could see. Finally, this campaign I did for Mother Dairy, which is a milk brand, and then some respectable work, which then finally saw the light of the day. It was put up in big posters around the city and big newspapers and outdoor and everything else. Basically, the insight is as simple as you can see. The country needs you grow faster. I'll just quickly run past this. Then there's another film that I did for...
कैमरा में देखते हुए बोली आपका नाम
Matilde.
तौफिक इस्लाम
Amit Ray.
Sylvie Bessou.
Harilal.
Nisha Shilki Dharmishta.
Okay, ready? In one sentence, tell me what is the purpose of your trip?
I'm going on a business trip. Wife के treatment के लिए आया हूँ.
I'm going on leave.
See the nature.
See the Baba.
Gira Gate is ad ke liye.
Away from office.
For a friend's wedding.
संस्कृत के अध्ययन के लिए.
Come to a conference here.
उस अनपाए को पाने की चाह में.
Second honeymoon.
बिरयानी खाने.
On duty.
Sightseeing.
Adventure. Relaxation.
Fun.
Shirodhara.
Smile. Sunshine.
Colors.
Food.
It's my hobby for travel.
Interesting conversation.
Experience how people live life. I don't know why exactly. I keep coming back.
There is some force which calls me.
My purpose of traveling is changing forever.
Actually, हमने कभी ऐसा किसी को आंसर दिया नहीं है.
Sorry for the last line. The girls say that nobody ever asked this question. The question we went around asking some 200 people around various parts of India was that what is the purpose of your travel? And we went out without a script, and we started asking people, and then we got so many answers. We had to spend almost 2-3 days in a edit studio to stitch it together like a film. So I started enjoying the work, which was liked by the client, were liked in the market and out in the on televisions and newspapers. And but I felt that because I had this award kind of a background, my agencies were more interested in me and saying, "Go and get me some awards," and I did. I won a bunch of awards for this activation I did for a brand that I created for Let Gandhi Talk, and I will not spend too much time on this, but basically we used currency notes and Gandhi's face because he's become like just a symbol, and we sort of resurrected him with using post-it notes on currency and run a few things at Can. And so during this time, when I was doing this stuff, while I was enjoying the work for the clients, I was saying a few things to myself concerning the clients, customer, awards, industry. I finally had a point of view that I wanted to experiment, and that's when I started this company called ITSA, and we like to call it ITSA. ITSA means it's a stage, it's a mic, it's a platform, it's a lotus. So ITSA can be anything. That is the meaning of it, and maybe we'll try to do a campaign for that. I wanted to tell more about it. So I decided to jump in, and then, as I said, I'm the wrong person to talk about customer satisfaction because I've been the arrogant guy who'd walked out of client meetings and who'd be rude to servicing and stuff like that. But today, that's exactly the reason why probably I'm the right person to talk about it, because if you know the biblical character, Paul, he was Saul, he was persecuting the church before the Lord came in a vision. And then he changed his life and he became Paul. And he became a champion for Christianity. So I'm being the bad guy to becoming, or attempt to becoming the good guy. Maybe I want to redeem myself. So therefore, I got few things to say about customer satisfaction. So I've got few pointers. I haven't counted them right now. Maybe you can take a look at it later. The first one is respect thy client. You know, before leaving for this festival, my dad asked, what is the subject you're talking about? And I said, customer relationship. He didn't know what is the content of my presentation. And he said, he has to say one thing. And that one thing he said is, don't ever blame the client. Even if he's made a mistake, don't ever blame it. Yeah. And I don't know why he said it, because he didn't know the subject matter of my presentation. And because that's what I wanted to put it. Because here is a small example from Nike, and there was a social media post that some consumer had put up. He was having some trouble, but at the end it was actually that it was a silly mistake that the customer had made, and Nike social media handle just sort of solved it. But they didn't make fun of the customer. But when it comes to our industry, this is what we do. And I found various posters which say, shit clients say. You know, the client, we fill up timesheets and then we write this brand and this brand and this brand and all kind of stuff. But the same time we use to create posters to make fun of our customers. And our customers, meaning our clients. And I said, I'll know what I want when I see it. This is not what I created. This is what I picked from the internet. The client said, I'll know what I want when I see it. The target audience is males and females aged 0 and up. Have you guys seen these posters? She is too old to be a granny. Can we fix that in post? Here's another one. We need more images of groups of people having non-specific types of fun. I have printed it out, but the animated GIF is not moving. And they're more like that. This is also funny. I really like the color, but can you change it? And this is the last one. There are tons and tons of them. And can you turn it around in Photoshop so we can see more of it? So, so when I see these posters now, if I had seen these posters 5 years ago, I would have probably added a few more to that. But when I see these posters, I feel that if our customers, the clients that we deal with, our customers, how can we make fun of them? Not only make fun of them, but publicly we create posters and make it viral. Isn't that, I find it very odd today to do that. And also, if a client doesn't know about Photoshop, is it the job of the client to know Photoshops and frames and many other things that we are involved with? Do doctors make fun of patients who don't know the composition of a paracetamol? Do we know what goes into making air conditioner? Do the manufacturers make fun of us as customers, or because he doesn't know what makes an air conditioner? So today I wanted to redeem myself. So we made posters. These are designed by ITSA to make the ground even for clients and agencies. And we decided that what do agencies say? And we said, shit, agencies say. So we asked clients, our own clients and some other people, and asked, what do you think the agencies say? What are the kind of shit that agencies say? So this is what actually clients have told us, and we just created posters which look like archive posters. You know, just a nice picture and a bottom right corner, there's a line, which says, it will take us 5 weeks for this leaflet. These are not my words, this is what clients have said, that the agencies said, tell them. Another one, which says, the headline, body copy, and visual can easily be fixed. And this is what another client told us, and this is what I have said in a meeting also. When we presented a campaign, the client said, this makes me uncomfortable. I said, wow, that's a great thing. Let's release this because it must be a great ad. Or here's another one. It should leave the viewer puzzled, and this is for all the designers and art directors. The line says, I can easily read the copy. That's what all art directors and copyright designers say after laying it out with some 6-point size, and they say, I can read it. So, so this is what clients have told us. And so we should, my plea is that we should not make fun of our clients and customers. If there's a mistake, we should deal patiently with them and not abuse them. The second point is know thy customer. And we as industry people, we are specialists, we are prima donnas, we know everything about the business, we know about clients, we know about consumers, we know about brands, we know about strategy, we know about how to write the headline, we know about every craft, we know the juries also now and as to what makes various award shows. But do we know our client? When I mean the client, the one who pays us the bill. And I'd like to tell a short story about a client that we had pitched for, and it was for HCL. And the incumbent agency was WK, and they called the pitch, they called the boys from WPP, two of them, the big ones in India, and DDB and Ogilvy, JWT, and other people for the pitch. And they also called us, maybe just to see what these guys can bring to the table. And what I decided to do was not read the brief or the films that the competition was doing or do market research. I read the book that the CEO had written, and it's called Employees First, Customers Second. It was a 200 pages plus book. I went dive into reading the book. It probably must have taken a few days. But on page number 152, I got the answer. I remember this moment when I just stood up from my seat and I shouted and I said, hey, I got an idea. And when we presented it, the idea was embedded in the book in page number 152. I will not tell what is in the book, in the page, because I'd like you to go and read the book. And this is what I found, and we made the film out of that.
Be and is hereby witnesses that this contract dated as of the 15th day of October 1993 is hereby entered into between Calvin Moore, son of Kevin Moore, and Tyler Moore, son of Calvin Moore, resident of 219 Birch Court, hereinafter referred to as parties. The parties hereby covenant and agree as follows: that Calvin Moore henceforth shall be called the first party, shall give a gift every year on the day of the birth of the second party. The gift shall not exceed the value of $49. That such gift shall be null and void in case the second party does not follow the express instructions of the first party. The first party shall narrate one story every night to the second party. However, such story shall not be narrated more than 10 minutes every day. Furthermore, this requirement shall be null and void in the event that the first party is traveling for work. In witness thereof, the parties hereto have hereunto caused this agreement to be executed by their duly authorized representatives on the day and year first herein above mentioned. Signed by the first party and the second party.
It's now a $7 billion company, and it is a great privilege to work for this brand. That this big company, which is prevalent in 31 countries, has trusted a small outfit like us to manage their entire portfolio of work, and have been doing that for the last 4 years now. And what we learned from them, which is in the film also, is that we as agency should go beyond the contract. And I'll just quickly now take you another example. That this hotel chain that you all know called Ritz-Carlton, and the family after a vacation went back home, and then the child suddenly realized that he lost his toy and is not there, and realized it was left in the hotel. So the father told the boy that another toy, the teddy, must be having an extended vacation. And he wrote to the hotel saying, this is what I told my son, can you please send it back to us at the address. So the hotel could have just sent the toy back, but instead of just doing that, they took pictures of the toy in the swimming pool, in the massage parlor, in the business center, in various places, and saying the toy actually was having an extended vacation. What was the need for doing this? Isn't it a great customer experience that when you go beyond what the expectation is, when you get a brief, are we just looking that, no, this is what the deliverable is, that we just do it and then we get on to what we like, which is the awards and the craft and everything. Can we focus our attention? Can we focus our craft on what can actually happen when we go beyond? And here's another one that this is actually something that I would never had said 10 years ago. I would say, how can the clients know it? Because I am the specialist. But Bill Bunback, I read in a book that when he used to go for client meetings, when there were disagreements, he used to take out a note from his jacket and he used to read it to himself, and it said the client might be right. And today, I sort of understand what he meant. But I picked up the story from Sainsbury's, and there's a young girl, she's a small girl, 3-year-old. She wrote to them saying, why is tiger bread called tiger bread? It should be called giraffe bread, because it actually looks like giraffe. But instead of just ignoring it or maybe just chuckling, the company actually released this and says, thanks to a clever suggestion from one of our customers, we changed the name of our tiger bread to giraffe bread. Don't worry, the recipe hasn't changed, and the bread still tastes as great as ever. A 3-year-old customer telling the brand, and the brand sort of listens to them. What about us? Why do we, I was actually, when clients used to give feedback, I used to resist it. My defenses go up, and because we used to feel, after putting so much effort, how can the client come in and change everything? So we resist. So I would suggest that we should be open to clients' feedback. I know creative people who have left the industry saying, I don't want to listen to feedback. But we should be not only open to the feedback, but we need to co-create with them. We talk about crowdsourcing, we talk about consumer co-creating with customers, but can we co-create with our own customers, which are clients? And I'll just tell the next example, what we co-created with
HCL, an IT company competing with giants like IBM, wanted to demonstrate its key value, transparency, to a global IT talent pool. The idea? Hold the world's first ever public job interview on Twitter. Why Twitter? With 39% of all job seekers using Twitter and 6.7 million people planning to change their jobs, it looked like the medium was just waiting to showcase HCL's belief in transparency. We invited applicants from around the world by creating an online campaign.
And your organizer.
With 88,000 applicants from 60 countries responding to our call, the interview was well underway. Round the clock for 21 days, a team of HCL experts tweeted questions and candidates tweeted back answers which reflected their fundamental skill set, general awareness, quick thinking, aptitude for the job, and their attitude towards life. But unlike the traditional interview, this journey was totally fun and non-stressful. Finally, 5 of the best candidates were shortlisted, and after another rigorous round, the winner was chosen.
Unlike other interviews, you need not be, tense that your boss will come to know whether you are participating in a recruitment process or not. So it was both fun and exciting for me.
But the other job applicants still chose to be our fans, because by giving the old job interview a creative new twist, we got the millennial workforce to apply, the world to take notice, the press to talk, HCL's stock price to peak, and got a movement about transparency, some clear results. HCL became the most followed IT service company in the world, all at the cost of hiring a single employee.
So that we co-created with our client. The next point is very important, I feel, and it is also a personal experience, that if you are, on all of us sitting here in this room, I'm sure are probably the best talent in your respective agencies. But it's a question for all of us, that how many of us are working on the most important challenges that the clients are facing? Or are we just focused on the sexy, the glamorous, or the big budget kind of work? There are many small things that the client might require. He might require a wobbler on the fridge in a retail showroom. Or is that relegated to the small people or the junior most people in the companies? Or maybe something like an emailers, which are relegated to maybe a digital agency, which is also given to a small guy. So, but that was an opportunity for us when we received a brief. I also believe that there's a distance between the best talent and the companies. They're not coming and working together on big projects, So therefore, it is important that the best talent needs to work on the most important challenges there. I can confess that when I was growing up in the industry, even in senior positions, I was told, and I don't mind saying this, that don't worry about this brand, let them do what they're doing, you focus on winning the awards. So I think we need to be careful as to where our talent is going. So we got received a brief at ITSA from American Express for a small emailer job, that there was an Independence Day celebration in the office and people are expected to come in the colors of the flag. So we did this something very simple and it said tricolor, this independence, and pick a dress code, saffron, white and green. And we did this in half a day, but and I forgot to tell you that this was actually a client which had engaged a global agency, and the agency was struggling because it must have been relegated to the junior guy, and then that guy must have been wanting to prove his point, and therefore it got stuck. I'm running short of time now, so I'll go a little faster. So I think we should be grateful to our customers. And if you remember what Gandhi said, we're not doing a favor to them by working on their clients. But sometimes we feel like that. Sometimes maybe I feel like that. And I think today, the clients have so many requirements. Once upon a time, there was an AOR agency on record, and there was a client. But today, it is impossible for a client to have just one client. One agency. There's a digital agency, there's a social media agency, there's an event company, there's a PR company, and there's a film company, there's a VR company. And there are so many things that the client requires. So it is impossible for a client to pick one agency and then give the status of a partner. So I think we should be humble enough to accept that we may not be the partner. We might be just called a vendor. And I don't even feel offended by the definition called vendor, because on paper, we are vendors. On paper, I'm a husband to my wife. So whether she calls me sweetheart or honey, how does it matter? Because on paper, I'm a husband and there's nothing offensive about it. So if we are vendors on paper, yesterday we received an invitation from a client asking to fill up a vendor registration form. So that's what we are. So there's nothing wrong. It's on paper. Yeah, so when there are multiple partners, it's sort of maybe this is what the client actually faces. So there's an example which I'll skip now. So for HCL, which is our largest client that we work for, and the campaign we did in the film, where it was about relationship beyond the contract, and we did many other things, which is sort of this film encapsulates.
तेरा है.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
That was not HCL, that was Sony. I'm running out of time, so I'll just skip it. So what a point I was trying to make is that we get opportunities in this non-monogamous environment, and when we get these opportunities, we take it and then we run with it. But I tell my client, I'll tell my teams that we should not be proud when we get opportunities like this, that clients flirt with many other vendors and agencies, that we should be grateful, and we should also be on our toes, because our clients can also be flirting with other agencies, and may the best agency give the best work to the client. And because of that one email that we did, Amex came back to us with another big campaign requirement for an outdoor event, and we did this pieces of work for food, a big food court with a multitude of food offerings. And we just created a campaign called A Table For, because there's a purpose as to why you go out and eat. So this is a table for Mumbai versus Delhi, and there's always a tussle between what is better, Mumbai or Delhi. So there's a table for perfect gift, a table for pushing the envelope, and table for popping the question, and table for love, and all that kind of stuff. And Gurgaon, where I come from, it's called the Millennium City. So a table for the Millennium City was the launch, kind of a big poster. So this is from Amazon, and just the founder, Jeff Bezos, I don't know if that's how pronounced. In the conference room, there's an empty chair, which reminds them that every decision they take is for that one individual. So I'm actually sorry when I played the Sony thing, I said it was HCL. But now the next video is for HCL, our customer. And the work that we have done is acknowledged by them in the numbers. When people talk about effectiveness, and this has been truly effective for them.
The first party shall narrate one story every night to the second party. First party and the second party.
So that and many other pieces of work that we have done for them has picked up many award shows around the world. And while these doesn't show Cannes, one show DNED AdFest, but for their audience, for their sector, for their category, they're one of the most awarded companies in that sector. But they'll be very happy to come and join us at the local award show. We went with the client, and the one in the center is Apurva Chamaria, my client, and then we had great fun, and hopefully we'll come to AdFest also one day. So a very important question now coming to the end of the conversation is that who is our customer? We are obsessed, as I said in the beginning, the client's customer. You know, the manufacturer, he makes a car, and you're concerned about the guy who buys the car. But I just want to say that our customer is actually the client, the one who pays our bill. So if we tell a customer who's our client to take care of his customer, we should actually be also obsessed with our customer. What makes him lose his sleep? And what are the challenges that this customer faces? And this is not about, there's a definition between, if you go back, the difference between a client and a customer. A customer, according to the definition, is somebody who has one transaction, and then there's no loyalty to the one who's from where he's buying his product or service. A client, on the other hand, is somebody who has a relationship, somebody who gives you professional advice, and is probably on a retainer. But this is not just about AOR, and this is not about AOR versus project. And I believe, this is what I believe, that we should treat our clients as customers. Because we tell that the customers are king, but then we say the clients talk like shit. So if we can just start seeing clients as customers, and that's all I like to say. And I have 45 seconds. I said, don't insecure a customer. I said, I lost my American Express card once, and so I called them to block it. And after blocking it, and the guy says, do you want me to help block any other card? I said, yeah, I have a Citibank credit card, but I said, how can you do that? So he said, don't worry, sir, give me, just hold the line, and then I'll help you block it. My heart melted. You know, here's a guy who's helping me deal with his own competition. But because when you work on your customer, you're not worried about your competition. You're worried about your customer. So therefore, I just had a little call for entries that if you have any ideas for my clients, you can mail it to me and I'll connect you with my clients. And these are my clients. These are the names of people who we work with. And if you remember, just remember what our own father of advertising said. He said, the consumer is not a moron. Don't insult her intelligence and don't shock her. So we just need to practice what we as the industry have taught our customers. Thank you.